Good morning. This is Lindsay Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions, coming at you with a different setup here in the home office, able to get work done and get a positive message out. I want to talk to you this morning about mental hygiene. Mental hygiene. Normally when we hear the terminology hygiene, we think of what? Cleansing, cleaning, staying fresh, not being dirty. And in most cases that relates to our physical body. But how often do we focus on the mental hygiene? Obviously, Sports Psychology Solutions and me being a sports psychology consultant, I'm focused on the mental performance part. For many high school athletes, pretty soon you will either be continuing your run into the playoffs with football or you will be bringing your season to an end. Now, what is going to happen at that point? Are you going to be at a crossroad as it relates to you continuing into the winter sports, basketball, and things like that, or are you going to wrap up your career? And if you're wrapping up your career as a senior, will this be the last time you play competitive sports in that regard? So let's talk about your mental hygiene. What are some things you are doing? Now, as many of you who follow me or who may have heard me, you often hear me talk about my morning ritual, my 10-minute miracle. And the reason I focus on the morning ritual, because in most cases you are a slave to the first thing you do in the morning. Many of you have heard me say that. I've said it on stages throughout the country. You are a slave to the first thing you do. And in many cases, the first thing we do is this. We grab this device, which is a great technological device. However, if we're not using it in the right way, it can be very overwhelming. Because when we sleep with this thing at our head or really close to us, or we reach for it unconsciously throughout the night, one, we're affecting our deep sleep. We're affecting that REM sleep, that rapid eye movement sleep that we really need to get the rejuvenation that our body desires. But also, too, we are programming ourselves unconsciously with items we probably don't want that may be counter to the goals that we have. You may have a goal to stop smoking, or you may have a goal to lose weight. You may have a goal to get a new job. You may have all these individual goals, but if you're not filtering what's coming through this device or through that computer or through the first thing you do in the morning, you are going counter against that. So what I always talk about is the first thing you do in the morning, before you pick up the phone, before you look at the emails, look at TV, take at least 10 minutes for yourself. And in those four minutes, we talk about writing down all the things you're grateful for. Because when we start to show gratitude, we open up greater opportunities for ourselves. Write down, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the work that I do. I'm grateful for my home, my car. It may be the simplest things, but when we start talking about what we're grateful for, we put ourselves in a position to receive more. And then for the next 4 minutes, for those of you who may not remember or may be hearing this for the first time, you want to talk about your affirmations. What are the things you want as if you have them already? I'm very fond of the G4 Gulfstream, that is, to be able to put 12 people on a plane, a team, and travel with them throughout the world and serve them as a sports psychology consultant, give them mental performance techniques, but also have my family in tow or be able to make it home at time. Those are the things that motivate me. But I have to talk and do my work as if I have that already. I have to get in my car and drive as if I'm going to the small airport to take off. Those are the things I have to think about as if I have it to have that fulfillment. Because the funny thing about the brain is that the brain doesn't know the difference between something that actually happens and something you think about. The brain doesn't know the difference between something that actually happens and something you think about. Very great example for all my golfers out there, or those who aspire to be better golfers. That could be a larger group. Just to say, when you look at that shot you're taking 20 yards out and you see that sand trap, and many times we say, don't go in the sand, don't go in the sand. But what you have done unconsciously, if you have programmed your brain to say sand, sand, it doesn't know the difference that you don't want to go there. All it knows is that you put that image there, and it will start to focus on that. And what happens in many cases, we swing right into the sand or into the water. So what I'm getting back to right now, let's talk about mental hygiene. Start preparing yourself in the day to have your day first, to download into yourself first, instead of taking all these other things. I'm not saying you're not going to be a great employee who's going to get the email return. I'm not saying you're not going to look at the morning report and be prepared. But have you downloaded into yourself? Have you invested in yourself? Or the common term on social media now, have you bet on yourself? Have you put things inside of you mentally to help you deal with this world? Because if you try to wait too long throughout the course of the day, it may be too late. So with that, that was a quick reminder of some things that we've talked about over time, referring to the 10-minute miracle. But the overall message is your mental hygiene. Look forward to some great platforms. Many of you saw me on the Jack and Tom show. It's been a great experience with the Brain Game segment. But also I'm going to be getting with my guy, Keith Tate. He's a coach at Waverly High School. I call him Keith Keys to the New Crib Tate, because he does a great job in getting people into beautiful homes. But he's going to sit opposite me for our new segment coming up very soon called Coach's Culture. This will be part public service announcement, part professional development, part do it for the culture. We will talk about a great issue that's happening right now. There's been a huge study taking place in southeastern Michigan about the state of play that was put on by the Aspen Institute in correlation with the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan, as well as the Ralph J. Wilson Foundation. I'll tell you more about that in the future. But the crux of that is there was a study done, and what they found in Southeast Michigan, which I believe can be applicable throughout the state of Michigan and throughout the region, but in Southeast Michigan in particular, with this huge diversity, that the grade of a C+ was given as far as what the children, or I should say the youth sport experience was. That youth sport experience was given a grade of C+. And a lot of it had to do with the way the coaches were connecting with the players. Now, this is not an indictment on coaches. I'm a former coach myself. I support coaches through my work with USA Basketball Youth Development, and then the coaches that I work with as well as my clients. However, we do need to work on transitioning and evolving new skills, new abilities to be able to deal with this generation of athletes. So I'm happy to be a part of that. With Antoine Jackson over at the Community Foundation in Southeast Michigan doing a great job. There's a great work group I'm involved in with some heavy hitters, for lack of a better term, but people who are committed to the region. However, this speaks to a topic that we all can address. So Keith and I in our mobile podcast will be traveling and getting insight, based on various locations we go to. I look forward to being at Desmond Ferguson's Moneyball tournament on December 1st. Here in Lansing. Gonna have some great high school teams coming in. Also, early part of the year, be returning to my hometown, Detroit, with Horatio Williams with the Martin Luther King Classic taking place early January over at Wayne Fitzgerald High School. Looking forward to some great teams coming out there. But the whole point as I wrap up is that we're really going to be engaging, receiving information, as well as sharing information that can help this next generation of athletes, coaches. And when taking all this information as I wrap up, it's not just about sports. Sports is a Trojan horse to get you to think about mental hygiene, mental toughness, and things like this. But all these skills we're going to talk about are applicable to life. And my hope is that my background, Keith's background, and the great people that we come in contact with can be beneficial to you in everything you do on a daily basis. So that's right about 8 minutes for me. Didn't want to take too much time, but just hopefully give you something positive to think about. Have a great day. Focus on yourself, and we'll talk to you soon. SPS out. Thanks.